All right.
Okay, for
Let's
real,
see if I can keep a straight face for 2 seconds. So, last time on Horrible D&D Time, the crew had gone to a coliseum that was scouting for Brotherhood members. Upon defeating the beasts that were set upon them, they met 2 tieflings backstage, a scruffy-looking man and a woman who shared similarities with Riley. They revealed themselves to be Hugh and Lilac, 2 double agents that had been working within the Brotherhood to relay information to Wesley. Lilac also revealed that she was Riley's aunt, and the 2 promised to lead the group to an underground entrance to the Brotherhood's secret hideaway. They told them to get done anything they needed to get done before heading down and sent them off. Later that evening, they go back to Percy's house, finding that the flump, Tony, had proceeded to ruin several of Percy's books. Zelphine and Riley went to go replace the books, flirting with Charlie, the bookshop clerk, the whole way. Eamon went off to have another date with the half-elf sorceress Estelle, and they had a very pleasant evening. Meanwhile, Tony had slipped something into Percy's cooking that would have unforeseen consequences later that evening. This good stuff that Tony had given them had the effect of encouraging people to tell the truth, which resulted in Percy blurting out that he had feelings for Zelphine, and not the hatred that Zelphine thought that he had. Awkward conversations were had all around between all that had partaken in that night's cooking. And then the night goes on. Where would we like to jump in now? I know a few people had some things they wanted to say or do.
Sorry, I just took a bite out of a York peppermint patty to try to calm down from all the gifts that are being posted in our chat right now, because I can't survive it.
Valid.
In case anybody was wondering who's listening, we are down 1 person, so we will probably not be continuing with the big important things. So this is going to be probably a shorter session, and already it's falling apart.
The big important thing being Estelle and Eamon dating.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They're off on a date right now.
Yeah.
That is the only important thing right now.
Nothing bad is happening.
Nothing at all.
We ain't got anywhere to be, it's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, I've got Roll20 up on my screen so I can't see anybody running after Goemon anymore, so it's fine.
It's not fine, I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
Katie, you have to stop!
Katie, I swear.
Tell me there's not another one, I can't look.
Don't look.
There's a whole section. It's all right, go on. What does this mean? I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
We left off with Percy and Zelphine in the bedroom, not the bed, in the study. I think Brim and Saoirse were out in the living room.
I think that we had said we were thinking about heading off, but I don't think that Brim or Saoirse had done that yet.
Yeah. I was originally going to start with people, like, in bed, but I think I remember Shelb saying she wanted to do something before everybody went to sleep.
Okay. I've looked back over my notes. I'm in character now. I'm good to go. Yeah, Zelphine's still just kind of sitting in the study there, just very, very awkwardly. She's doing that thing again where she just kind of like keeps glancing over at him like she wants to say something, but she's not doing it.
Right. He's been staring off into the fire. But if she keeps doing this, he'll go, just say it. Whatever you want to say. Just...
I mean, it may not be the most, appropriate timing, but I don't know, like you said, the world is ending, and, in my defense, I was gonna do this before you blindsided me with that whole comment about my laugh, which is objectively false, by the way. I just want you to know my laugh is atrocious. What's wrong with you? Uh, anyway, and she's gonna dig around in her bag of holding for a second. She's gonna pull out a book and offer it out to him and say, "It is a book about the Serpent Isles, where my dad is." Which I know that doesn't really mean much to you on its own, but it's technically from another plane of existence, so
Yeah,
there's a pretty good chance it'll get you into Candlekeep.
he just like that slow turn. His brows are furrowed, and then like one goes up and goes, "You serious?"
I mean, probably if there's any book that they're not gonna have there, then something not from this world. I mean, isn't that what you need to get in? I think just a book that they ain't got.
Yeah, that more or less covers it.
Well, there you go.
Can I see it?
Yeah, it's yours now. She'll hand it over.
Yeah, he takes it and immediately starts flipping through it, and then like gets really engrossed in it suddenly, and is like, suddenly this is the only thing in the room, even though he has spent the last like hour freaking out. He is just engrossed. Damn. Yeah. Huh.
Well, there you go. As an apology for anything Tony has destroyed or will destroy.
I need to get a cage for that kid. Like a little playpen. Oh, he wouldn't stay in a playpen, would he? He can just float over it. He's gotta get a hobby other than eat all my food and mess up my books. And then eat my books.
To his credit, there's not a whole lot going on down in the Underdark, so if nothing else, the poor guy's probably just really overstimulated right now.
I mean, that's probably true. I haven't exactly spent a lot of time down there. Who the hell would want to?
Yeah, it's not real pleasant. I only met him by pure accident, so. And I haven't been any deeper in the Underdark since. I had learned my lesson.
For sure. And like he just kind of like he's still flipping through the pages as he's like having this conversation. This is wild. Says here, Tiamat broke through their planet, and a bunch of elves resettled in the Serpent Isles. Nobody's seen them since. That's weird. What did they mean Tiamat broke through the planet?
Yeah, I mostly just skimmed it myself. It's something about Tiamat also being a planet over there. I don't know how that's work, but I also don't know how a five-headed dragon is supposed to work either, so,
Yeah. Isn't she supposed to be in hell? How could she be a planet and in hell and... maybe it's two different Tiamats. I guess.
Hell, I don't know.
Man, Outer Plane's wild.
I don't know. I went over there and they told me that that planet was my mom. So like, I don't fucking know how planets work over there.
I
I mean,
don't
I take
think
that
that.
as better than my actual one, but
I'm pretty sure that's not how biology works. There. You don't think they were meaning metaphorically?
I mean, probably, but it still didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, wasn't even supposed to find elves for how hidden that they are, supposedly.
One of those worst keep secrets kind of thing.
Probably. People don't want to know that elves aren't these magical hidden things over there, is what I learned. Literally walked around with my ears hanging out, and they were just like, oh, cool costume.
Costume. Wild.
Yeah, I think I accidentally fed into some conspiracy theories about my dad, 'cause they don't know he's an elf over there. But apparently some of them think it.
Well, that's interesting. Guy like that just wandering around pretending not to be an elf. He got like his hood up all the time and go all like spooky.
Honestly, pretty much, yeah.
You know, that makes sense actually looking at you.
Excuse you, I'm plenty spooky enough without a hood. Thank you very much.
I'm sure you're plenty spooky.
Actually, do you mind if I talk to my dad for just a few minutes?
Oh yeah, go for it. I'll just keep reading this book. I want to absorb as much of it as I can before I hand it over to Candlecape.
She'll take out her sending stone and activate it or whatever she needs to do and just ask, hey, are you there? Can you talk?
Yes, it is. This is a decent time to talk. We're having a rest.
Oh, well, good timing. I think we were, the bad guys that we've been after. Pretty sure tomorrow morning we're heading straight into the, I don't know, the final dungeon or whatever you want to call it.
Their keep, their hold, whatever.
Yeah, wherever it is. We found some insiders who are going to lead the way so we can hopefully, infiltrate and save the world, whatever.
Good to hear. Best to take down all villains that stand in your path.
Yeah, well, at least one of them is a dragon, like bare minimum one. And then the main one is trying to, open a gate to hell, no big deal.
Classic.
Why'd you become an adventurer in the first place? Like, this sucks. Like, who willingly chooses this?
There's like a brief pause. I didn't so much choose it as I feel this is the only path I had forward. I grew up in a small village amongst some of the last elves hidden away on the Serpent Isles. My people were very well hidden. Despite what you encountered when you were here, people tend to think we're extinct. We were deep in the jungles of the Serpent Isles. This was a necessity for our survival. There's so many things out there that wish us dead or worse. None of us were allowed to stray far from the village until they were well into their first century, and even then most chose to stay. During my youth, I studied under an ancient blade singer. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to learning his craft, spending far less time on any other studies, like art, magic. It was all about the blade. My entire life, the world of humans encroached on our village. It was becoming more and more common to see them out in the jungle. I would frequently come across human explorers, hunters, adventurers, and more. Eventually, small camps were becoming established not too far off from our village. We elves were too few to risk revealing ourselves. Perhaps they were kind-hearted, perhaps they were under the influence of Tiamat. Very few of us were adept fighters. Most of the humans in the area had some measure of combat ability, and I hated the idea of them intruding on our lands, restricting where I could roam. They started out as a nuisance and became quickly a danger to our entire lifestyle. From where I was standing, it seemed like our elders were taking too long to do much of anything about this. There was talk of even moving our entire village just to be further away from them to keep ourselves hidden longer. This would be difficult on some of the young and very old elves, including some of my family. The humans had no right to our land, and we could not retreat forever. Pretend to be this dead, extinct race. I've never been very studious, but at this point in my life, I spent all my spare time poring over my master's tomes in search of a magical solution to the human problem. My sword couldn't solve this alone. I was unable to understand most of the text, though, and quickly grew frustrated. Eventually, I went searching through other things and found a magical headband amongst my master's things. I learned that it was enchanted. My ability to recall things, to understand and grasp new concepts, to see the bigger picture, to strategize. It became so easy with that on my head. With that, I went back to my master's tome that had confused me. One far beyond my level of comprehension. I attempted a ritual from the book to connect me to a great demi-power from across the plains. Upon completion, I felt an immense power rush through me, flooding me with energy, speed, and strength. I felt untouchable, the entire assurance of any outcome I sought. I quickly set out to the human village with the intent to drive them off. Upon arrival, I did not think. I merely acted. I'm not sure if the power that pushed me into it or my own fear. When I reached the edge of the village, my anger and frustration, it exploded. I started cutting down humans, burning their homes. Those that tried to fight me fell like grass before a scythe. As my rage consumed me, my world turned red. Everything became a blur. Over the next few minutes, hours, could have been days. A blur of violent images and bloodshed and pain. My consciousness shut down. I couldn't handle what I had done or become. The power was all that I was. I'm sure now whatever I had done bound me to some fiend, or that I had traded away a piece of my soul for what I thought I needed to do. I've never felt whole since that day. Sometime later, I awoke. Nothing. I was chained to a tree. My master stood over me, deep sadness in his eyes that I will never forget. He was holding the tome with the ritual I'd used. I watched as he tossed it to the ground and attacked it with an enchanted axe, and it burned to ash. And he walked away, leaving me there, chained to the tree. When I finally freed myself, it was days later. I tried to find my village, and it was gone. They had all left, and I was alone. I bore witnesses to many horrors and the tragedies over the next few centuries. Humans being slaughtered by monsters, and even those by some other races. And I did nothing. I was more of an animal than an elf for decades. The other humanoids became more common on the island, more evil, and continued to approach. And I did nothing. Only after I witnessed some snake men torture and sacrifice a human child was I finally roused from the stupor I had found myself in. Killing them was easy. I was sick to my stomach for days. Over the next few decades, I came to accept my fate. I had built up a small cell in a tree tucked away from the Serpent Isles. I defended the innocent, honed my skills, took great care to never attempt magics beyond my full understanding ever again. As I took on the role of a protector, I slowly learned to accept that I needed to kill those that deserved killing. To atone for my sins, I protect those weak and seek to destroy those evil. Though I still feel there's something evil and alien bound to my soul, I don't think I'll ever shake that. I just have to keep moving forward. And that's when I ran into Sarah Smith. I've been tagging along with that little band for a while now, but recently she's taken up a greater position in her city, and dear little Mia and Joel, they have gone up north to visit his family. So I continue to wait in this forest, protecting those that need it.
Zelphine had, throughout the course of that, just kind of drawn her knees up and curled up on the couch like a little kid listening to story time. Just staring intently at the sending stone in her hand. And she's quiet for a moment when he finishes.
Yeah, there's a beat of silence on his end too, and he goes, "Are you still there, daughter?"
I'm here. It just all sounds oddly familiar.
Fate works in mysterious ways. But yes, that is why I'm an adventurer. It's the only path I see forward. The only other option is An animal in the woods.
I suppose this does beat that, yeah. It's kind of strange. I remember when I was much younger, spending a lot of time hoping that, I could be less like my mom and more like my dad, whoever he was, wherever he was.
Well, I'm sorry to have placed that burden upon you. Though if you wish to be more like me, then you must still stay on your path. Defeat evil where you see it, and continue to atone for your sins.
That part I think I can handle. Although, if anyone does start selling merch of me, I do think I'm gonna yards, honestly. I don't know how you put
It's
up with
awful, isn't it? It looks so distressing. Mia thinks it's the
embarrassed for
cutest thing, and I just, I hate it. Mia bought one of each of those little dolls, and she always brings it up.
Okay, so I probably should confess, I did technically buy one of your dolls.
Oh, no.
But it wasn't for me. It made another little girl very, very happy to have what she called a Mrs. Elfine doll, so...
Very well, then. That is acceptable.
I do kind of wish I'd bought one for me, I'm not gonna lie.
Daughter?
I didn't, and it's on a completely different plane of existence, and I'm broke, so I just don't see how that would happen, so you don't have to worry about it. I do know a very good seamstress, though.
If you could hear eyes rolling, you would have heard that.
Thank you for telling me all of that, by the way.
I haven't told it to many people. It is painful to relive, but I felt it would do you well to know. No one on this earth is perfect. No one in this universe can live up to anyone's expectations like that. Once you're free of that, you can do anything, I think. So whatever you find yourself facing out there, don't die on me, all right?
I guess I'll try.
Very good.
I'll talk to you tomorrow. Promise.
I'll hold you to that.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, daughter. And click. The sending stone loses its light and becomes just that green color. And I think we'll jump over. Hey, what are Brim and Saoirse up to?
I think that at this point, after their little kind of awkward conversation that they had, they haven't probably gone up to like to retire yet, and maybe are just like sitting on the couches. Brim is trying his best to read, this book and failing. And he has come to the realization he's not going to read it in time for tomorrow, so he's just kind of aiming it and making notes of like things that might, be battle relevant. I don't know quite what Sirius is doing, but he's just sitting there. He seems restless.
I imagine she's still just kind of looking over the coffee table book she had, and she sees him kind of fidgeting and just, "Are you all right?"
That guy, he kind of gestures towards like on the nearby table where, amongst all his effects, is the great sword that was Terrell's. He says, Do you think they'd let us? Well, you don't have to come. But do you think that he's open for visitors tonight at the any of the watch station he's at?
I've never had much reason to go visit someone in a prison, but I imagine it wouldn't hurt to go check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and there's also while we're out, I guess there's I asked the Church of Saloon for a little bit of a packet of information about lycanthropy and some details about like cycles of the moon and things. So it wouldn't hurt to go pick that up. Who knows? There might be something there that might help.
That I
You
can
can see-
definitely help you out with.
You can see as he's saying that, like he's saying it like in the sense of he's just casting on for anything that he can do to kind of stack the odds in his favor. There's definitely something underneath there where like his mind is going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's probably over the course of the night he would like go over to like his weapons and like check them and like see if there's like any like if there's anything he could do to like hone them. Or he seems very fidgety and anxious. And when she said that, he goes, "Oh, do you mind coming with? I think I could use a." Go ahead.
It's better not for any of us to be alone right now, so
He kinda
especially out in
nods.
public.
He kind of nods, and he will I'll just let them know, and he will go over to the door to where Zelfine and Percy are, and he'll kind of knock on it. Dish and I are going out. We have some last minute errands to try and run.
All the stores will be closed. It's getting
I
close to... It's really late. You know this,
No,
right?
I know. Yeah.
We need to swing by the Temple of Saloon.
I guess if anybody's going to be open at night, it's going to be the Church of the Moon Goddess.
Yeah, but we'll be back. If if anything goes up, I think I still have a paper bird or two. So if anything comes up, you know. But just wanted to let you know so you don't freak out.
Okay.
Make good choices, Brim.
I'll do my best.
Don't get arrested again.
I make no promises.
No, see, that falls under good choices, and you already said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you have anything to worry about. I have a upstanding, law-abiding paladin with me.
Keep him out of trouble.
Yeah, sure, no pressure.
Y'all have been trying that for a couple months and have failed spectacularly.
Eyeball rolls.
And, Brimstone will... He's gonna leave, like, some of his stuff, but, among the things that he's taking, he's definitely taking, I mean, obviously he's taking the paper bird, he's taking the, he's taking, like, some of his combat effects, like the one greater healing potion, he's taking Terrell's, greatsword, he's taking Tony's runes, and he's definitely taking Terrell's belt.
Okay.
But he's definitely not, like, all kitted up with all of his stuff.
Cool. Before you guys head out, Katie, what is Riley up to?
Yeah, Riley is kind of like... She's, like, fidgety in her own way as well. She's, like, very... She's just trying to focus on this, shawl. Like, it's like a dark blue, almost purple, like, fabric with, like, little stars, like, yellow stars embroidered, embroiled. Like, embroidered on it. And she's trying to make this for Charlie, but she's also stressing out about the big day. So she's just kind of like, she's like making a lot of mistakes, and she's like, her hands are a little shaky, and she's like poking her finger with a needle, going ow, ow, ow.
Awesome.
So yeah, she's just holed up. Yeah, she's just holed up in her room, trying not to have a panic attack. You know how it is.
You know how it is. Definitely. Alright, so Brim and Saoirse, you guys are heading out onto the street. It is very late. You see that blanket of stars above you, and the moon is high in the sky, and it is pretty close to a full moon.
Ernstone will look at the full moon and he'll say, I'm gonna take that as a sign that probably church is where we want to head first.
Probably, yeah.
Lead the way, I guess, and he will sort of let Saoirse take the lead in walking to the church.
Yep, and she's been there a bunch, so she knows the way.
Yeah. It is pretty empty on the streets. You see the odd person, but eventually you find your way to the church street where various different deities are lined up, and you hit the Church of Saloon. Doors are still open, and you see the little red-haired girl running around with a bunch of scrolls. Little Renee. Ah, yes, hello. It's very late. Please come in. Oh, it's you. Hi.
Hello.
How's it going? Hey. Oh, it's you again, too. Oh.
Yeah, Go ahead.
I was just going to say we came here because we believe that there was some materials that were gathered for Mr. Brimstone.
Yes, yes. I have it written down for. I collected what I could. And she runs off. You hear some papers fluttering, and she comes back with 2 scrolls and a book.
Brim will look over what she's got there. He'll look at the scrolls first before the book.
Yeah. The scrolls particularly mention outside of the city there is a group of werebears that pledge themselves to Saloon and have made a pact to help protect people out in the wilderness. And the second scroll does seem to have mentions of the Order of the Moon that you met in Barovia, but it's in very vague terms, and it stops eventually going, they don't know where they went.
In terms of the werewolves that we were sort of harassing people on the Sword Coast and leading people into Barovia, that Brim and Eamon had been assigned to go catch.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Brim will kind of look at this second scroll and he'll say, he'll look at these scrolls and he'll say, well, this first one definitely is something I should probably, at least parlay with them. This second one, and he looks at Renee and he says, I think I have a little bit more information for you, but I don't know if I might need to get some things together, see, if I can even reach out to them. This might not be as big a concern as it used to be. From my experience, I'll certainly let you know if I can, put you in touch with anybody.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We'll get our scribe on it if you do have some evidence and information.
Yeah, totally. Is there any mention of with those werewolves, any mention of their specific sort of blood huntery techniques with the mention of the Order of the Black Moon or any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the Order of the Moon didn't really, the scroll didn't really say much about that, but the one for the werebears does mention blood hunter rituals.
Okay.
And it seems like that's the one that they actually have contact with and work with as part of the Church of Saloon.
Okay, so we're definitely going to have to... Brim will definitely make note of that as far as people that he needs to get in touch with.
Yeah, and then...
After this is all over.
Yeah, and then the book she gave you seems to be a basic textbook about werewolves.
Okay.
And how the curse functions. And
yeah, he definitely will, just use... is it written from this perspective of a werewolf or from somebody doing a study of them?
It's a study.
Okay. Yeah, did you... Sorry, I cut you off. Did you have any more details about that, or...?
Not particularly. It's a pretty dry textbook, and she just looks at you while you're flipping through and goes, we didn't have a ton on, lycanthropes. Our, library isn't super dense. Most of our stuff revolves around the healing and the kinds of rituals we do here. The larger church might have more information, but they aren't located in Waterdeep. They're further north in Neverwinter.
That might be worth checking out. If it's just a lack of of current knowledge, I certainly
Yeah, to be honest, we don't get too many werewolves. Usually if we do, people want that cured. They don't love turning into a giant wolf and tearing through the countryside and getting hunted by hunters.
I mean, it's certainly something that, at first glance isn't, a great thing, but, this conversation can wait for another time. So I say, like, if there's, in my case, there are certainly ways to there's traditions around the condition that can be used to protect rather than harm, and I think that's worth exploring and maybe making study of, especially just for people who might make things make the whole thing a little bit easier to talk about and less of a stigmatized thing, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's kind of stigmatized for a reason. Werebears, at least, tend to keep their wits about them. Most werewolves, they tend to lose a bit of their humanity. For lack of a better term, I'm sorry. And she looks at both of the tieflings in front of her.
Susha just puts up a hand placatingly, like, it's okay, we understand.
But yes, I was always under the impression that werewolves become evil. They lose that goodness in their hearts, which is why it's seen as something that needs to be cured. I'm just a simple priestess, though.
He's not. He doesn't seem angry about that or offended. Brimstone just seems a little pensive for a second, but then kind of shakes out of it and. Well, regardless, when I can, if it's okay, I'd like to, maybe make some inquiries, maybe contribute some knowledge, help out with, learning about, because, I mean, certainly for a lot of people, probably, condition certainly needs to be cured, but, in the meantime, it certainly wouldn't hurt to have a little bit more knowledge about, limits, perhaps helping people, control it, to deal with it, things like that. I'd like to help, is what I'm saying.
That would be great if you have information about that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. And did you have a chart of the phases of the moon?
Oh,
I think I asked about that.
Yeah, and she brings it out, and yeah, it's like tomorrow it will be full moon. Right now it's pretty darn close.
Okay. And yeah, Brim will make sure to so I've got the scrolls about moon chart. I got the about Barovia, werewolves, and Sword Coast werebears. And then I got the book about werewolves. We're talking like a level 100 college textbook.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing, right? Yeah. Okay. He'll Brimstone will take those, and seriously, did you have anything you needed to do while we were here? Do you think that like grabbing any like holy water or anything like that might be helpful at all?
Possibly with what we're going to be dealing with.
Oh, yes, I do have holy water in the back, sister, please, if you need any.
We will probably take 3 or 4 vials if you have it on hand.
Of course. And she rushes off again and You hear pouring noises. And she comes back with 3 bottles full of that clear liquid that kind of shines in the moonlight.
Yeah. I guess, Susha, do you want us to just take those unless she gets any to brim?
No, yeah, Steersha will take them.
Okay. Thank you very much, Renee. This has been a big help. I know it doesn't seem like it, but, at least put my mind at ease a little bit.
Oh, I'm glad I could do something for you, sir. The world is a big, scary place, and that's all I can hope to do is spread some healing and some peace to people.
Peace. That's all we can probably hope for. I won't wax philosophical in your church. I'm good. Saoirse, if you had anything else you needed here, or anything.
No, I think that was pretty much it. And she'll walk forward and take Renee's hands and hold them like just sort of like a recognition of we share the same faith sort of thing, and just blessings of Mari Serenitatis upon you, sister, and leave.
Yeah, and she calls out and goes, "May the moonlight light your path."
Brimstone is, as he's leaving, he's following Saoirse out, and if there's like a collection tin of any kind.
Yeah, there's a collection tin at the front.
He's going to pause for a moment looking at the collection tin. And he's going to take out 2 silver. And he's going to place them in the collection tin. And he'll just kind of look at that for a second, and he'll look back up at the church and the sort of any of the iconography around, and sort of more to himself than anybody else. I'll say, I hope it's all over. I get to enjoy your company before anyone else's.
And before you leave, you see something flick behind Renee's vision, and she she remembers something. She goes, and then she runs back up to you, Saoirse, and tries to grab your hand again, and goes, before you leave, I just remembered the Reverend Mother had a message for you.
Oh?
She said that she had heard word that a man you were looking for was in town.
When? Where?
It was about 2 months ago. He was seen speaking to one of those Brotherhood men. We don't know where he went after that. I'm so sorry, but it's something.
That's fine. Yes.
I'm so sorry. It nearly fell out of my head because I've been so scatterbrained lately, but no.
It's alright, and we came in the middle of the night. Okay, thank you so much.
She gives you a nod and goes, I hope that helps you on your path.
More than you know. Thank you.
And yeah, as you exit into the crisp air of the evening, that moon is still hovering overhead.
As we're walking towards the jail cell, the jail, I'm assuming Brimstone overheard the stuff about, Alderson with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't trying to hide it or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does Saoirse seem about that?
Quiet, introspective, definitely worried.
I don't know what they want with him.
I don't know if it's what they'd want with him or if he was trying to find me or what. I left home because the place where we lived didn't take kindly to people like me. And they took that out on Alderson.
Well, I know it doesn't amount to much, but I'm sorry.
I appreciate that.
For how you've talked about him, he seems like a very loving man.
He loved me, and quiet, and books.
If he's in the city, I promise I'll help you find him.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nothing in particular you've done, but it feels nice having someone to share these kinds of moments with, I guess. Not that the others aren't important to me, but it just... it feels different. In a good way. Different.
And you can see her kind of swallow, and a little bit of that wall sort of comes back up. And she just sort of nods and just, any way I can be of use. And she just nods and smiles again.
Aetheron.
Pardon?
My last name is Aetheron. It's my mother's last name and my grandmother's. And I don't know anybody who had it before then, so maybe my grandmother made it up. It sounds like the kind of thing she'd do. But it's Aetheron.
I don't have one. But I'll remember that. Brimstone Aetheron.
Oh, it's... And for you, just Saoirse. Yes?
Just Saoirse. Slaves don't get last names.
Well, neither do devils and demons, but I mean, look at my village.
And she just kind of smiles at him.
And it's about now you find yourself in front of the watch station that you believe Tyrell would be at.
At this point, Brimstone has the Tyrell's greatsword on his back. His the belt is that is his tail is in his pack. He doesn't have it out. But he will approach like one of the watch members and go, hello,
Sir, it's the middle of the night. What do you want?
I know. There's a man in there.
There's
Tyrell.
lots of men in there.
No, I know. Tyrell Bladestone. Kind of smarmy.
Oh yeah, that jackass. What do you want?
I wondered if I could have a moment to talk to him.
Sir, it's the middle of the night.
I know, but like I've got a thing tomorrow, and this is like probably the only time.
Got a thing tomorrow.
Listen, do I ask you about like your shit and your business. I mean, I get it, but like this is literally the only time that I have to do this.
Really?
Yes.
We
I'm-
don't.
and I'm-
Visiting
I'm-
hours, sir, are from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
We're under an investigation from the Church of Saloon. Would it be possible for us to get in there for just a few moments?
Can you roll me a persuasion check?
Yes. As soon as I find my character sheet, I shall.
I was about to say diplomacy check, but that is the other game.
22.
Okay. Yeah, like as he's like being kind of a jerk to Brimstone, like as you say that, he like immediately softens as like he recognizes you as someone he's seen from the church. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, ma'am. I didn't realize. Of course."
It's all right. It's all right. If
I'm
we understand
new,
what you're
sorry.
doing, we apologize.
Usually we work more closely with the Church of Tyr, but of course you can come in if it is important to that. And he opens up the gate and leads you in, but he like stops you before you get to the cells and goes, "I'm going to need you to leave your weapons here, though."
Of course. And she'll take her longsword off.
Yeah, and he like puts them behind a counter, and he looks at you, Brimstone, expectantly.
This weapon is kind of an important part of the investigation, and we kind of need him to see it.
Sorry, sir, we do not allow weapons past this point.
No, I mean that's totally fair. Okay. If it comes to the point where we might need him to like look at it, could we come and get you? Maybe have you just like at least hold it so that he can see it.
You understand the reasons why we keep the weapons up here, so that not only can you not hurt the prisoners, but the prisoners can't hurt you.
No, I get that. Yeah.
We can
and
describe it to him.
Yeah, and Brimstone will leave the sword up there.
Yep. He again puts it under the desk, puts a little lock on like a little wall thing there, close it up, and he leads you down. And you pass by like several sleeping prisoners until you get to Tyrell's cell, and he is in the back of the cell. His blonde hair is like completely askew, covering part of his face, his one eye shining out in the darkness. And as you approach, you can see like that hint of anger spark up in him again. Bladestone, you've got some Church of Saloon people wanting to interrogate you. And he looks at you two and goes, "Call if you need me." And he goes to the end of the hallway and stands guard.
Brimstone will kind of stand outside the cell, just kind of he'll so that we're not in the cell, right? We're like outside it.
You're outside the cell. He has not opened the cell.
Okay. He'll just kind of stand there and just sort of regard Tyrell for a moment, and he'll be silent for a while. And then he'll say, "What do you think brought us here?"
Our feet.
I mean, more so, what led to you being in there, me being out here, us having this conversation, all of that?
bad luck and a guard that doesn't know how to keep people out.
Bad luck.
I should have won that fight. You're all
should've.
monsters. Monsters fall to heroes. And here I am, locked up for starting a bar fight.
That's the way of it, right? The good guys win.
That's the way it goes. Or it's supposed to.
Yeah, how it's gone in stories since time immemorial. It's always been fated that way, right?
Are you just here to rub in your victory, little devil?
You can believe what you want. But, Terrell, this situation where we are right now, this doesn't make me happy. I don't feel joy. I don't feel the thrill of victory. I don't even feel relatively good about this.
Then why didn't you kill me?
Because the way it goes, where the heroes win and the bad guys get defeated, the way it, the way it's supposed to be in the stories, that doesn't mean anything. Fate is what happens when you let the universe decide things for you. It's just a suggestion. You weren't destined to win that fight. Any more than I was destined to win that fight. Or any of this was destined to happen. It's only predetermined if you're willing to sit back and let things just happen around you. And in my case, contrary to what the world tells me I should be, what everyone around me looks at me and says I'm supposed to be, all I can be is myself. And if that flies in the face of whatever destiny has set out for me or the people around me or my family or friends or some grand design I'm supposed to be a part of, well then, fuck destiny. The threads of fate, and he does like air quotes, are loose and unwoven. The tapestry stretches out behind us, but everything before us is frayed. And anyone who can seize one of those threads and pull it, unravel it, make something new. Fate couldn't stop that person.
The hells are you even going on about?
Because I want to talk to you about somebody that I think might be more important to the story that we're both part of than you might realize. I want to talk to you about Eleanor.
Yeah, I'd like the mention of that name. His face like softens a little bit, and his posture, like he's been like curled up in the corner of this cell. It goes up a little bit and goes, "The hells do you want to know about her?"
The village of Devil's Aegis, which you know very well in a certain light, and I know very well in an entirely different one, does not commonly kidnap people. despite what you might think, that village was entirely made of people who were refugees from different systems, different status quos. It's made up of devils who abandoned their duties, of demons who didn't much like the random chaos of the abyss. It's made up of others even who just needed to be somewhere to hide. It doesn't do them any good to draw attention to themselves. It might have been before my time when everything had happened with Eleanor, but knowing the people there as I do, they might make deals with people who come across the village, but people don't just arrive in Devil's Aegis. So, I want to know what you know about how Eleanor got there.
I was a child at the time. I'll tell you that. So, from my little village, there was rumors of a village of devils that would swoop in and kill people that dared venture too far from home. Those stories got passed around, and I know that another story got passed around too, of a old crone that would help those in need that happened to live out there as well. All I know at the time was I was sick. I could barely move. I remember my sister collecting me, walking out into the woods for what seemed like forever. She asked this crone to heal me. And the crone, I can still hear her words in my head. Very well, little girl. A life for a life, and your brother will live. And then the screams, and the blood, and I was no longer sick. But I had lost the only person I had left. I don't know how I got back to the village, or even how to get back to your little pit. But that's what that place is. To me, is the place that took my sister and left me alone.
Does this strike Brim as any sort of familiar at all from his youth?
Roll me a history check.
Alright. Be a very important one. Where is it? There it is. Okay, I'll take that. With my history of -1, that's a 15.
Yeah, with a 15, you know your grandmother would sometimes see people from outside the village. She would make great care to make sure they wouldn't be able to retrace their steps. But she was a hag, and she loved giving out deals. It's what she did. She always tried to make it fair for a hag.
Yeah.
But you know that, doing something as great as curing some great disease would probably...
just by virtue of hag magic.
it would result in someone's life being taken away.
Yeah. Brimstone will sit and think for a moment. And
But yeah, this
he'll look at
specific incident doesn't ring a bell, but you know this is how she operated.
Brimstone will kind of look at Terrell and will say, he'll just kind of shake his head and go, "You must have been very sick."
I don't remember with what. I just remember feeling pain in every moment.
And I'm sure Eleanor knew that too. She probably knew better than you did what that was.
I would gladly take that pain back for all the pain that I had gained from growing up without her.
Did you have parents, any other family?
No, we were alone. The only person I considered a friend, even, was Wolfhard.
For what it's worth, Terrell, if you had found your way back, they would have taken you in again.
I can't believe that.
The decision your sister made is not one, and not an easy one for anybody to make. I can't imagine having to choose between watching a loved one suffer and die and, your own life, but she clearly loved you a lot to make that choice.
Well, love makes us all do terrible things, now doesn't it?
It was a terrible decision. Not that it was a bad decision on her part, it was just that choice is a terrible one to have to make. But it's not one that was Lydia's fault. It was not one that was that hag's fault. Hags are bound by rules, like any fey creature of any kind, or any devil. There's only so much she can do. Hag magic is all about equilibrium. You can't make something out of nothing. A life for a life is the clearest definition of that exists. The fact that you ended up living and your sister ended up dying, I'm not saying that my grandmother had no part in that, but at the end of the day, the decision was Eleanor's, not Lydia's. And whether you accept that or not, that's up to you, but that's the truth of it.
I didn't ask to be saved.
And maybe you should have been asked if you wanted to be saved. But like you said, love makes people do crazy, reckless, stupid things. Doesn't make any of it right or fair. It just is. And for what it's worth, you have my condolences for that.
Just what I need.
I don't know what you really need. You're gonna have to figure that out for yourself, but Like I said, I don't hold any hate towards you or any ill will. That all died quite a bit ago when I learned about what happened with all this. But I will say, you hurt me and my village, my family, very deeply. And you hurt them because of something that ultimately wasn't their decision to make.
Well, it's too late to change anything about that now, isn't it?
Yeah. But that doesn't mean anything about where we go from here. Like I said, frankly, I don't want much to do with you at this point. There's too much pain, hurt between us. And there's too much hurt that you've caused to people like me.
Huh. If I never see your damn fool face again, it'll be too damn soon.
And I much agree. But where you go from here is totally up to you. I promise, though, if you come after me or anybody like me again, I won't show you mercy a second time. But there's never a right or wrong time to bury the hatchet. There's just when you decide to do it. So, wherever you go from here, just know that the village of Devil's Aegis never meant you any harm.
Can you roll me a persuasion check?
All right. That's in that one.
He laughs. We'll just have to see how things go. I don't believe a word you say, though. He leans back.
Brimstone will. Okay.
I'm a hunter, and I hunt. That's the way it goes. That's the way I intend to keep on. It's up to you lot to not get in my way. And he leans back.
Brimstone will look at him and he's just got this sad look on his face. And he'll take out of his bag the belt of his tail. And he'll just kind of look at him and Terrell and sort of hold it.
What are you doing with my belt? You think you can reattach it?
Why did you wear this all these years?
Kept my belly warm.
Pharrell Bladestone. One day, maybe close at hand, maybe far in the future, you're going to wake up and realize that you were the monster all along. And I hope, for the sake of your immortal soul, that you can square that with your identity, view of yourself when that happens. But I'm not going to hold my breath, because I'll be holding it for a very long time, I feel.
Great. Glad we're on the same page. How about you leave me alone while I have a good night's sleep in this cell that you've all put me in? I'll be out by morning. Just you wait.
Brimstone puts the belt away, and as he's walking away, he'll go, "You continue to misunderstand, Terrell. The only one who put you in that cell today is you. And if you continue to misunderstand that, you'll always be confused about why the hero isn't winning." And then he'll walk away.
Yeah, he has no retort for that as you exit. So, you get your information out of him?
We got enough.
Saoirse is still back by the cell.
Okay. Yeah, doesn't even
She-
notice yet.
She takes a step forward, grabs a hold of the bar with one hand. Look at me. Vengeance cannot be an appetite, or you will devour everything. You will devour people, you will devour yourself, you will devour the earth to make your own grave. I have devoted my life to being a tool for the divine. The gods hear you through my ears and see you through my eyes. Slake yourself.
Could I get you to roll an intimidation check?
Yes.
Because that's intimidating as fuck.
Dirty 20.
Yeah, like you see him go white, looking at you, looking at your Church of Saloon memorabilia. That's a bad word for it. Your adornments, and he just kind of looks at you and goes, "Gods can really hear me through you," and he just like does not look right. He looks suddenly very scared.
She'll just bow her head. Blessings of Mare Serenitatis be with you. And she'll leave.
Small squeak from behind you. And the two of you meet back up. The guard hands you back your swords.
We kind of walk outside. Brimstone he just looks up at the moon and at the stars and stuff, and he's standing there in the middle of the street, and he just goes. He's kind of not saying anything for a moment, and Saoirse probably comes upon him like that, like sees him in the middle of the street looking up, and he won't say anything unless she makes herself known to him.
She'll just kind of touch his arm to bring him back.
He kind of like stirs a little bit, but he's still looking up at the sky, and she can see he's crying at this point. And he'll just say, so many dead, so many hurt, lost, so many lives crushed, and for what? This is how it's supposed to go. Go ahead.
I don't know enough about fate or the way things should be to argue with that. I know that if that is the way that things are supposed to be, it's a damn shame. And I think it's well within our rights to fight against that.
If that's how it's supposed to go, it's a really bad joke.
I don't think the gods have a sense of humor. But I think that maybe sometimes things happen that even they don't foresee. And if they send one cog spinning in a direction, sometimes it veers.
You're probably right on that. If, after I've lived however long I'm going to live, I get to wherever I end up going, which who knows where that's going to be, and I find out there is somebody who writes a page ahead in the book that tells the story we're all living. And you see Brim is kind of shaking, and he clenches his fists, and I'm going to cut out that person's tongue and feed it to them.
Upset DM in the corner. No, my tongue.
Sweating.
But if not, I'll be secure in the knowledge that I fought like the hell for how I want the story to go.
I think that's all we can do.
It may not be the ending supposed to go, but it's the one I want. And I think I deserve a chance to see it through. And at that, he'll kind of dry his eyes and move on.
All right. So yeah, you two head back to Percy's house. Zilphine, was there anything else you wanted to do before everybody goes to bed?
Zelphine right now is just kind of hanging out in the study for as long as Percy wants to stay down there. She's still kind of curled up in that same ball on the couch. She's got her head turned away from him now, though, so he can't see her face.
Yeah. And you suddenly feel like that a soft weight on your shoulder as you realize he's fallen asleep. And his head, like, droops onto your shoulder, and the book kind of, like, flops into his lap.
Zelphine, upon feeling this, will kind of look up, and she'd had tears in her eyes that she's quickly wiping away because she's just kind of sitting there now, like, a little shell-shocked at not knowing what to do in this situation that she has now found herself in. She's going to, as carefully as she can, take the book. She's going to, she's going to hold the corner of the page that he's on in her hand as though she's about to dog-ear it, and then she's going to stop and, like, kind of mutter to herself, no, he's probably the person that hates that. She's going to, carefully reach into her bag and find something with just probably a tea leaf at this point. I think that's what she has on her possession that will work, and bookmark the page. And then, she's gonna give him one single, like, very half-hearted nudge to see if that wakes him up.
Yeah, like, he starts to get up, and then he, like, leans over harder onto you.
Cool. Okay, cool, good and great, cool. And upon seeing no other option really available to her, she shifts just enough to, like, she puts her legs down so she's not, like, all curled up in an entire ball, and kind of leans back on the couch slightly more comfortably and settles in as though that's just where she's stuck for the night. But she doesn't look probably nearly as upset about it as she wants herself to look right now.
Okay.
And she'll just settle in to go to sleep.
All right. You settle in. Riley, we'll see if you settle in. And then we'll say at this point, Brimstone and Saoirse get back.
Doesn't.
Yeah.
Riley. Okay. Hate to do this to myself. I like nerfing myself a lot.
So you want to get that point of exhaustion?
Yep, Riley does not sleep tonight.
Awesome. Making a note of it.
Yeah, she's just... You know what? It's like she's trying to make excuses for herself, and she's like trying to finish this shawl. It's not going well, by the way. She's making a lot of mistakes still. And it's just like, And I'm writing down she has the same HP as last time. Whoops. She's like, why is this not working? I don't understand. Why is this not working? I'm so good at this usually. And she's like, trying to ignore the big problem. Ain't that a mood? She's like, this is why I'm upset. It's this damn shawl. That's why I'm so upset.
When we get back, do we hear her rustling around?
Roll me a perception check.
I don't know
boy.
if she's being subtle about it.
That's a bad one for me. That's a 4.
Yeah,
I got an 8.
Yeah, you guys don't hear shit. You're like
Still in
your brains are still wrapped around Tyrell and his shitty behavior.
The shitty boy.
Yeah.
The shitty city boy.
So yeah, unfortunately, you do not hear her making all this, getting all riled up.
All riled up.
Yep.
Yeah.
All rileyed up. Yep.
Episode title.
All riled up. That's very good.
Yes.
Perfect.
But oops, gonna pull an all-nighter. Sorry, Riley.
Cool. So yeah,
Panicking you.
reminder for in the next session, you'll have disadvantage on all skill checks, I believe it is.
Yeah. Doesn't include attacks, fortunately.
Yeah, it's not attacks, but it's a lot of other stuff.
Yep.
We just
I
ran
like
into
to nerf myself.
Yeah, it's great. We get the wild magic going. We got the exhaustion, but everybody else
Exhaustion is gonna be great.
settles in to go to sleep. And it's a quiet night. But Brimstone, something happens that you are not expecting.
Oh, do I dream? Do I have a fun dream?
Oh, yeah. First, as you settle into sleep, you feel this intense heat burning and rolling all around you. You hear screams and laughter fill your ears, and yes, you smell that permeating scent of brimstone. You look out and realize that yes, you are dreaming, and you are looking out on the desolate, burning landscape. The sky is this bright red, and you see writhing shapes out in the distance. And you suddenly feel your shoulder getting grabbed as your body is thrown against the ground with a sharp pain. Standing over you, pitting you to the ground, is the large and furious form of Zariel. See, I've done it to myself. This is my own role. You hear her voice echo around. You wretched child! I gave you the power to slaughter the man that caused you pain, and you let him live!
Ian needs to think about what Brum would do.
Okay. Big scary lady.
I just want you to know that, like, Leanne was like, I gave you the power to da-da-da-da-da, and my brain finished wearing his merchandise.
Oh no! It's true.
Yes, thank you. That's so good. You're wearing his merch.
I mean, Zariel kind of looks like Hades with the flaming
Oh my
crown.
God.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Good.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
So she says this to him, and he looks up at her, and he will look at her and say, and in a calm, defiant way, he'll say, "Yes, I let him live."
And
Does this displease you?
you can feel her long clawed fingers like wrap around your neck. And even though this is a dream, you feel your breath hitch. We had a deal. I give you the strength to slaughter the men who took your dear little village from you. And you reap their souls for me until the day that you die. And then I get your soul. But this display today, you have failed to gather the souls I sent you out to claim. And you just feel the heat from her, like, burning halo and her on fire wings. And it, like, seems to blot out your vision. Everything becomes blurry from, like, the heat and the pain. Did you forget the gift I granted you when this all began? No more dreams. No more screams in your thick skull. Perhaps that should be revoked if you insist on this course of action. You start sending me souls again, and I'll give it back. How about that?
You see Brimstone, a twinge of fear crosses his face at the mention of that. But he looks at her and he says, "That soul was not mine to take."
Very well, then. You've made your choice. And at this point, you feel something digging around your head. And you want to scream as, like, sharp needles scrape at the inside of your skull. And you feel a sharp pull, and your vision goes black. And you're suddenly aware of the sounds of a bubbling pot and smells of freshly cut herbs. The heat is gone, and you're hit by a pleasant breeze of a Sunday morning. You sit up and realize you're in a little hut. The wood is old and rotted in places, and there's dried plants lining the walls. You're not in hell anymore. You're in what looks like a hut you know all too well. You see a jar on the wall that has round objects in it that turn to face you, and you realize they're a bunch of eyeballs. And you hear a little cackle. Oh, my sweet little Nikolai! What did I tell you about making deals with devils? And you look over and see a hunched over night hag, large, purple, with long, wild hair, and a big, toothy smile reflects back at you with mismatched, jagged teeth that spread a little too far over her face. Despite all this, you're hit with a comforting feeling of warmth and nostalgia.
Brimstone kind of... Is he like his normal size? Like, is he like adult Brimstone? Or are we talking like kid Brimstone?
I'm going to say you're your regular self. As you stand up, you realize you're about as tall as her.
He kind of like rubs the back of his neck a little bit and goes, "Sorry, Granny. Things got a little complicated after everything happened. I know you told me 100, 1,000 times. I didn't listen. There wasn't even a contract to sign this time. I don't know what I was thinking."
Well, at least if there's no contract, then you might get a way to wiggle out of this one. But really, you gave up your ability to dream. You did that realizing that I'm a night hag, right? I could have been with you this entire time! Ah! I mean, I may be dead, but that doesn't mean that I can't visit you in your dreams! That's what I would have said if you had, haven't been a melodramatic fool and cut yourself off from your dreams.
Wait, so this is you. This is you.
My boy, I've been trying to contact you since this whole thing went down. I wanted to see how you were doing. And look at you.
Yeah, it's been a while, Granny.
You had to go and make a deal with that tart of an archdevil. I hate her. She sucks.
Pretty sure it was a little godsmack. Grandma, where are we right now?
Oh, we're in your dreams, dear. You know. But we're also in my house. Fey creatures, we don't go to heaven. We don't go to hell, my dear boy. We just stop having a physical form. You see?
I think so. Yeah,
When people have nightmares, that's hags visiting them. Whether alive or dead. That's just how it works. I thought I explained this to you, but clearly I didn't.
it might have gone over my head at the time. I was... I mean, you know how I was. I was a stupid kid.
You are as dumb as a sack of bricks.
Yeah. Not much has changed, to be honest. Yeah, it's good to see you, Granny.
I'm so glad I was finally able to contact you. It's been too long. I had thought for a while perhaps you had died, but then I got word from some hags in a place called Barovia. You threw one of them out a window.
I did, yeah.
They were a bunch of bitches anyways, I hated them. But they did let me know.
You never really seem to have much nice to say about other hags.
I mean, there's a reason why I'm not in the coven, dear.
Yeah, we have I don't know how much you know, but a lot's happened. I think I'm going to save the world tomorrow.
Oh, grand. As I said, I've missed quite a bit, but I'm so glad to see you. How about we come down and have some tea, and you can tell me all about it?
Yeah, the first thing I want to ask before anything else, because I have a lot to tell you. Eleanor. A girl named Eleanor.
Oh, that dear sweet child.
She paid for her brother's life, didn't she?
Yes, I am afraid she did. The boy was dying. He wouldn't have lasted long. And she had no money to go to a doctor. And so she came to me. You know how it is.
Brimstone kind of nods, and he's like, That kid. Oh, you probably know.
Oh, yes, that he was the boy that killed the entire village? Yes.
Not all of them. Some people lived.
Oh, that's good then. Most of the people from the village have cut themselves off from me.
Yeah, I imagine a couple of them probably. You know, I mean, a lot of them aren't like you. I mean, Grigori's probably dead.
Yes, I haven't seen him around. Not that he dreamed much. Vampires, you know, they don't dream.
Yeah, well, and, Brimstone will kind of look around and, let's talk. We have a lot that I think I'd like to talk about. I sent some people back to Devil's Aegis. I think I want to build the village up again.
Oh, that'd be lovely, dear. As long as you don't let any pixies in, little bitches.
I don't know how they deal with the cold climate, but
Oh, they can survive in many different kinds of climates, which is why they're so insidious.
I see. I guess last thing before we get into the bigger details of everything. What do we do about her?
About her.
Is there anything we can do about my deal? Anything?
Frankly, I'm not sure. There was no contract signed, but there was a verbal agreement. She did just let you free from part of it, not having dreams. So just don't die, and she won't get your soul. So that's option one, don't die.
Oh, I'm easy.
Oh, yes. Frankly, child's play. Could always go to hell and kill her.
No, in some insane way I was going to suggest that, but then that sounded like a stupid, reckless thing to do.
It is stupid and reckless, but it would get the job done, dear. And aren't you all about being stupid and reckless?
Yes, I suppose that's me.
I wouldn't want you any other way, my dear Nikolai.
Well, let's talk then. And Brim will sit down and regale his grandmother, Lydia, with as much of his adventures as he can before waking up.
Yeah, you have a long, pleasant, long overdue talk with your grandma. As the sun begins to reach over the horizon and everybody begins to stir, that's where we're going to end it for today.
That's awesome.
I love this.
Yes.
Very
Say
good.
hello to my crazy grandma, everybody!
Yay!
I love her.
I love it.
her immediately.
Well, goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye!
Have a good one, everyone. Bye.